Welcome, everybody. It's great to be 3-0. Excited about the effort of our kids for 3 weeks. Obviously, things that we've got to clean up, but this is the third season that we've started 3-0, so we've really done a good job with the early games. Last time that happened at North Carolina was 1978 through 81, so it hasn't been something that's been easy to do. And I want to give our players and our staff credit for the way we've started. We've obviously had problems at the end of the season that have been very much talked about and that we're addressing, but we've started really well. And a lot of people would like to be 3-0 today. I want to thanks for the fans and student body that came out Saturday, and our students have been unbelievable. They just bring energy, and our team feeds off of them, and especially in the fourth quarter. And they've already announced that the James Madison game's a sellout. It should be exciting for this weekend. And James Madison's got great fans, and they bought all their tickets, and they'll be very, very excited about coming down. The biggest thing about the game, other than that we won, where we had too many penalties, and that's not who we've been. And you ask yourself why. I thought they were ready to play it. They played hard, but we cannot have. We had 17 penalties. We turned in an unusual number to the ACC office to get their reaction to them, but still, we had some of them. And 12 of those 17 were pre-snap or post-whistle, and that's what we said you can't have. So it was very unusual. Don't know where it came from. We will obviously have addressed it and been aggressive with them yesterday, and we'll go back to that tomorrow in practice to make sure that we get that straightened out. Offensively, we played 28 players, so we're doing what we said we were going to do, and really working on a lot of depth. Randy Clements is still in the hospital. He did not get out for Saturday for the game. He's still there. Don't know when he's going to get out. We'll keep you updated as we know. Corey Gaynor is a volunteer, and he coached basically the interior guys, and Kyle Fuller, the graduate assistant, helped him with he worked with the whole offensive line. So Randy had no contact during the game, and Chip's having to help some. So it's got us in a tough spot there. And then you take the fact that your starting center and your starting left guard were out and didn't play. And Aiden Banfield, who we looked at in pregame, and he just didn't look like he was ready to play. And so we held him out. Blasky wasn't even dressed. So you started your backup center, Zach Greenberg, who started his first game ever. He did a good job. And Blake McGowan played most of the snaps at the left guard spot. And we still rushed for 330 yards. So we're running the ball really, really well. And we're excited about that. I didn't go for the 4th and 1, which I normally would have, but we just had problems at center and guard the play before, so I felt like that you didn't want to give them a short field, let them get excited, and give them a 14-point lead to start the game because you weren't secure with a snap. Really, Connor and Zach had not worked on quarterback sneak as much as Blasky, obviously, so we just decided to punt the ball. Plan at quarterback will be to continue to play both of them because they have different skill sets, and just watch them as we go. Omarion continues to be very impressive, tough, smart, loves to play, gets ready for every practice. If we hold him out of a tackling drill in practice, he's mad. Pull him out of a game, he's mad. So he's just a tremendous player. Again, if you can't run the ball, it's hard to wave a magic wand and say, let's run it. When you can run the ball, you can improve your passing game, and that's what we've got to do. We've got to be more consistent with our passing game. We've got to step up at wide receiver and tight end. We've dropped some balls, probably from frustration that we're not throwing it as well as we have the last 5 years. It doesn't matter. We've got to step up and do a better job in those areas. We didn't have a sack Saturday, which is really, really good. That's something that we haven't done very well in the past, and especially without an offensive line coach and down 2 starters. So we can improve our passing game. And that's what we've got to do as we go through. Our tight ends did catch over 100 balls, 100 yards worth of catches Saturday, and scored a touchdown. But we need more out of the wide receiver group. We got to have those guys step up and play better. Jeremy, did you mention Nate? I did not. Yeah, Nate's a guy we've got to watch this week, so he'll be in that list that we're going to watch. Defensively, we played 32 guys, so we're playing a lot of guys. Most of those big guys are getting between 22 and 32 snaps, which has really helped them. We held Central to 167 yards, and 75 of those 167 came in the first drive. And we've got to do better offensively starting the game, and we've got to do better defensively starting the game. But they had a 12-play drive for 75 yards, and there were 7 minutes and 28 seconds left in the first quarter when we got the ball back. And mostly because of there was one explosive play and a lot of penalties. So we've got to do a better job starting the game defensively and starting the game offensively much better. That's the fewest yards that we've allowed since 2009 in a game. We allowed only 48 yards a second half. They had 2.2 yards per play, and Jeff can give you more of those stats as you look at it. It's another great job in goal line stand. They started at the 1 yard line, had 6 plays, and had to kick a field goal. And that's 2 weeks in a row now that we've played great goal line defense. And as I said after the game, goal line defense is hard to practice because it's just a lot of bodies that are going full speed. And when you can get that much work in a game and be successful with it, because our defensive line's really knocking the offensive line back on the goal line, and it's just tremendous. And Jeff will elaborate more on who made plays at that time. We've held the first 3 opponents under 100 yards rushing, and we said we had to stop the run, and we've done that. That's the first time we've done that in 3 consecutive games since 2010. So it's been a long time since either of those have happened. We've only allowed 43 first downs this season. That's the fewest in the first 3 games since 2008. So this defense is stepping up and doing a lot of really good things. We have held all 3 opponents to 20 points or less. Last time that was done in 3 consecutive games was 2016. So again, the defense is doing some really good things, but the headliner of that group would be goal line defense. They're playing great in the red zone, and we have not done that very well. The thing we're not doing well is we left 3 turnovers on the field again. So we have got to start forcing more turnovers. We say that every week, and we're still not doing it, but we had opportunities for 3 more that we didn't get. Special teams got one, and then Caleb Cost had his outstanding interception. That was the other one. In special teams, we gained a turnover. We were close to a second one. We were really close to blocking 2 punts. We didn't return punts like we expected. We've got to do a better job of being aggressive there. We had a great kickoff return, and then we had a holding call. So you can't have penalties on special teams. We can still get more consistent, and like I said, Nate had the great return, and we had a holding call. We didn't return as many punts as we wanted to, so we can do a better job in those areas. We covered kickoffs really well again. Of all the kickoffs that we covered, I think they had a 14-yard return on one of them, and Fair caught the rest of them. And we're playing 2 deep in special teams, so we played just about everybody. And a lot of different guys were fresh and covered kicks. Even Vari Green, after Nate got hurt, returned the second kickoff. And then Will Hardy, Fair caught the last punt. So we're getting a lot of different people on the field and getting them good looks. We've just got to make sure that we change games with special teams and we dominate. We just don't play good. But we have won the special teams the way we grade them in the first 3 games. And that's something that we're excited about. Omarion Hampton was the offensive player of the game. 210 yards rushing, 3 touchdowns, 181 yards after contact. I think, Jeremy, he's leading the nation in yards after contact. So he's really, really a good football player. One of the best running backs in our history, but also one of the best running backs in the country. And great running backs, get most of their yards in the fourth quarter, and he hadn't even played much in fourth quarters. So he would be getting a lot more yards when people get tired, as powerful as he is. But he's a special player, and he is the guy that is helping us get to the 330 yards rushing, and we're averaging 250 or something. So we're doing a very good job in that area. Two defensive players as player of the game: Caleb Cost, who had 8 tackles, a half sack, an interception, and 2 pass breakups. He had, and also Kevin Hester, 4 tackles and was huge on the goal line. Coach Monachino just was effusive with his praise on Kevin. He just kept talking about it's one of the best games he's seen a defensive lineman play. So really happy for him. Special teams player of the game was Christian Hamilton. He recovered a fumble on the punt, and he always won his battles on punt return and nearly got another one as he looked at it. James Madison is they're 19-4 over the last 2 years. They're a very proud program that's won a lot of football games. And they beat Charlotte worse than we did. They're 2-0. Bob Cheney's their coach. He was 113-46 as a head coach. He won 5 straight conference championships at Holy Cross. They've got a tremendous amount of transfers. And I think that's what changes when you're playing a group of 5 teams. You're playing some other teams now. You don't know who they are because the transfer games made everybody where they have a chance. And they've got a lot of really good players. George Pettaway is their leading rusher, and we know George. He's really fast and does a tremendous job. They'll come in and play like Charlotte with all the energy, and they'll play like Central with all the energy because this is a chance for them to come in here and get a great upset. So we got to get ready to go and clean up the things we've got to do. We've got to do a better job forcing turnovers and on defense. We've got to do a better job throwing the ball on offense and change games with our special teams. Questions?
Jacoby and Connor, you said the difference, so I guess kind of like Max and Connor, some different stuff. Is the difference between them greater than it was, Connor and Max?
I think that's a great question, Andrew, but I feel like I've thought about that. I think it's pretty much the same. If you look at Jacoby, he's a lot like Max, and Connor's just different than they are. So we'll still continue to do the same stuff. Jacoby's just played very little. You know, I think he threw 6 balls here or something while he was here before, and didn't play much at Arkansas. So he's just so inexperienced. And Connor's started 3 games now, only 2 at home. So we're very, very inexperienced at quarterback. We've just got to do a great job of coaching those 2 young guys and build on what they do best.
Last year at Arkansas, he played a lot. They were blown out in that game. So Saturday was a very positive experience for him. How did he handle that positive experience? And through your eyes, having seen him for several years.
Yeah, he's really smart. He's a great student. The only thing, he's got a tremendous arm. I mean, we all talked about that when he and Drake were competing. He's got such a quick release, and a couple of throws were unbelievable. The throw he made on the move to Bryson over on our boundary, the wheel route he hit to Bryson on the other side. He hit Cope with a couple of across the middle routes. The 4th down throw he threw to Billups was a tremendous throw. So he's got a great arm. He just hadn't played very much. But I thought he responded well. They liked his demeanor on the sideline, and Chip can talk to you more about that. But everything was good, and Connor handled everything really well. So.
What did you find about Caleb Cross make up after getting picked on a little bit the previous week and then coming back and having a game again on Saturday?
Yeah, Caleb is a tremendous competitor, and he's really smart. And you can't play 2 sports at this level without being very talented and very competitive. And he's a great student. He's a great person, but he's a competitor now, and he knew he got picked up. So it didn't go unnoticed that people were coming after him, and the first 2 third downs Saturday they came after him, and we've got to remember, I think he played in 4 games last year or something, so he has really played in 3 college football games without a spring practice because he played baseball. So he is a rookie now, and I love the way he competes. That was an unbelievable interception where he falls back, and as Jeff will talk about it with you here in a minute, but he said it was the perfect leave it open come back and fall in and make the play, make it look like it's something it's not, and it was a special play. And he was all over the field, so coaches have really been defending him while some people have been critical of him because they know how special he's going to be as a player.
Is it safe to expect that Jacoby gets the starters reps in practice this week?
We're going to watch them during the week because we've got to have both of them. We're so inexperienced there, we cannot say that we're going to have this guy play. We need both of them to play. And they're very different, and what we've got to do is do a better job as we go forward of making sure we do what each one of them do best and not try to have an offense. We got to have things that Jacoby does best and things that Connor does best and play them and do them that way. We still made too many mistakes.
When you look back and follow up on Adam, when you look back at getting Jacoby back here, I mean, now that you're in this situation, you kind of like thank your lucky stars that you went back and recruited him and bring him back here?
Yes, things happen for a reason, and Jacoby wanted to come back, and even asking, am I going to have a chance to start? And we said probably not, because you're missed spring. We got two guys that went through spring. They've been here all summer. You're not even getting summer work. So it'd be really, really hard. You should come back and be the third team quarterback and then get ready for spring practice. And all of a sudden you change with one play at Minnesota. And then you come back and tell him, you got a chance. You got to come on and compete now. And there's absolutely no doubt with all of us as human beings when you're told that you got a chance, man. You pick it up. He's lost 12 pounds, I think, and he's really competing, and he's over here studying a lot more than he would have been as a third-team quarterback. So it's changed his hope, his attitude, and his projection completely. And it'll be fun to watch where he goes with that, because this is the first time he's ever had a chance. He had his chance, but Drake started, and Drake did so well he didn't get in, and we weren't good enough on defense, so we were in close games all the time. So he didn't get to play, and that's been one of the problems here. We don't blow people out, so you don't get a chance to play if you're the backup quarterback, and it's hurt Connor some. But now he has a legitimate chance to step up and help this football team for the first time.
I was going to, 2 quick things. So an even split between the two, on the reps and practice?
Yeah, we're talking about all that now, Chip. We met yesterday and we practiced yesterday. And then we'll look today at in fact, I just went over every pass in the game for an hour with the offensive staff and said, is this what they need to be doing? Is this what messed up here? What was good here? What did this happen? And then today is the day you really start looking at what you do starting tomorrow to get ready for Saturday. So this is a full discussion day. We'll be over here till late tonight trying to make sure we're all on the same page about tomorrow.
Randy's condition has obviously been a serious one. Any concern about him coming back, or will everything, you think, even out for him, or is it?
You know, I think he'll be fine. I think he'll be out. We thought he would maybe be out Saturday, last Saturday, and be in the press box, and then he wasn't. I've been checking with doctors and trainers this morning to see if we can get more updates. But we were hoping he would be out yesterday then, and he's still not out today. So. And I told Randy, and he went crazy in the hospital. I'm sure he wasn't easy to deal with watching a game. And he wasn't on an iPad. He couldn't communicate with us, so we had no contact with him. But I've told him and Polly, his wife, this is very serious, so the most important thing is you take care of yourself. I mean, this is football, and you don't need to try to get out too early and get sick and have to go back and put yourself in danger. So it's tough for me because he wants out, and if I talk to him, he's wanting me to get him out, and that's not my job. I can't get him out. So we just keep our thoughts and prayers with him, and those young ones will just keep coaching them. And it hurt us with Blasky out because he was kind of the guy in that group too. He and Willie are the two older ones that guide them. So I thought they did an amazing job after there were a couple of mess-ups with the garden center position there early that hurt us. But the more they played, the better they got, and it'll just make us stronger at the end of the year. And hopefully we'll get Randy back this week.
Colby, where is he now compared to where he was as a player 2 years ago in August when he battled Drake?
I couldn't have answered that, Andrew, probably before Saturday, but I thought he looked better Saturday than I've seen him look. And we haven't seen him in games, so we've seen him look really good in practice. And there are a lot of things he can improve. But the only way a quarterback can improve is play. You got to go out there and do it, and you got to mess it up. He made some great plays, and there's some that we probably, not him, but we as a team probably left 3 touchdowns on the board, maybe 4, that were people that were open or something that we could have done. Blocking poorly on the screen to JJ. If we make any blocks on the left side, that's a 60-yard touchdown pass, and we get 6 yards. So we're close to doing a lot of good things offensively. We score 45 points, we're mad. That's pretty good, and play a lot of people and have 2 backups and no offensive line, and we're playing 3 quarterbacks. I mean, there's a lot of things this offensive staff is going through. They've been pretty spoiled, so now they're earning their money. So, but I'm excited about watching them going forward. And again, when you can run the ball, you got a chance to do everything better. If you can't run the ball and the quarterback has a bad day, you get beat. When you can run the ball, you can grow at quarterback.
How do you balance things with Omar? And obviously, he's your best player and you want to possibly run 50 times. You can't do that. It's a guy who wants to play on Sunday as well. As you, the coach, do you factor any of that in with deciding how many times you're going to run?
Yeah, we've had great backs in my career. I've been so lucky, and I don't want to, if I started listing them from Heisman Trophy winner, and then you go to Cedric Benson and Jamal Charles and the great backs we had here, and they all love the ball. They love to touch it. I think Natron, I think I gave it to him once 49 times in a spring game. He was laughing at me yesterday when he was one of our honored players for this weekend. They want the ball. They want to play. So we took him out after we scored to go ahead Saturday and didn't play him anymore in the game. We took him out against Charlotte. So we're protecting him. But when he's in there, he's going to touch the ball a lot.
The situation with Randy is something that you don't usually have to deal with as a head coach. Does that illustrate the importance of having a guy like Corey Gaynor, who was a player for you and now comes back to that coach role and to help the guys?
Yes, it does. We all went through this at COVID, because if one of your coaches got COVID, you had to have somebody take his place. And then we went through it at the bowl game. We didn't have an offensive line coach, and we didn't have an offensive coordinator to call plays against Oregon. So what you do is it's like all of us do in life. You take crisis and turn them into positives and do the best you can. Kyle Fuller, you all don't know, he was a 7-year NFL player, and he played for Randy and was a high draft choice at Baylor. So we've got 2 guys, one that knows Randy really well and one that knows this offense and offensive line really well, that are stepping up at a very young age. I don't think either one of them knew they'd be full-time coaches here in their first year, but they're both doing a good job. Where Chip's, thank goodness the rule was changed where Clyde can coach quarterbacks and Chip can help with everything, but Chip's spending time now in the offensive line room, and he's helping those 2 young guys as well.
The plan is, of course, to try and play the 2 QBs, but I wanted to ask, so a couple weeks ago, I know you were kind of telling the team, it's Connor's position, embrace him, things like that. And last week the plan was to put Jacoby in that 3rd series. Was in that 2-week span, do you feel Jacoby, so to speak, like narrowed the gap between them, and like how did that come about to where you end up putting both of them in for extensive time last week?
Yes, we decided last Tuesday to put Jacoby in the 3rd series of the game. The reason we didn't tell you all and didn't tell the team is sometimes that changes. The third series this week was after a fumble punt. So we actually stood there for 15 seconds, and we don't have as much time to decide what's right as you all do. You have an advantage there when you can do it on Monday, and we have 15 seconds. So the coaches said, Coach, we're still going to put him in. It's a turnover. He thought he was going to have another series. He thought he was going to wait till the ball's at the other end. I said, put him in. We said 3rd series, and then the game dictates what you do. And then I thought that he was having some success, and he needed to play. So we felt like it was just best, and then we put Connor back in the third quarter, and then let Connor finish in the fourth quarter. And we're going to have to be different. The game was over when Connor came back in, and you don't want to embarrass Central, and you don't want to run up the score, but you got to get Connor ready. So we're going to start throwing the ball with our other quarterback that's in the game. We've got to play both of them the whole game. We've got to get their experience caught up as fast as we can. So that's why we did what we did, and then we'll decide this week what we do. But if I come in here and say we're going to put him in the third series, and then there's a fumble and I don't, then you're all saying, well, you lied. Why didn't you put him in? And that's just part of a coach's life. But we made the decision, and when you're doing that, if you usually put a guy in now, since both of them can play, and the one that's moving the ball and scoring stays in. And if you're struggling, you change it up, and you've got somebody to do that with.
I'm not trying to overdo it on Randy, but when we talked to him in camp, he told us that he should be good until the spring.
Yeah.
So obviously something happened, right? Like
Yeah.
what I'm trying to say is this was an unexpected trip to the hospital, was it not?
It was.
He was supposed to have a small procedure that we knew about from early, and it's taken longer than we thought. But he was supposed to go in Thursday and have something tweaked that would help him till spring, and it's just taken longer. We thought he would go in Thursday, he'd be back out Saturday morning and be ready for the game. So this is just a different setback.
Maybe put him up in the press box on Saturday. Like that was kind of your preliminary thinking.
Yeah, as of
Saturday morning, we thought he might be in the press box on Saturday, and then they just didn't let him out, and then we thought maybe yesterday, and then that's why I checked with them. He was frustrated, and I checked with the doctors this morning, and they said we're working on it. We're good. So, in fact, shut up, Mack. Leave us alone. Let us do our job. So.
What have you and your coaching buddies thought about the 2-minute timeout so far in the season?
I think just about everybody that I know loves the 2-minute timeout, and most of us didn't like the fact that plays were taken away because we're trying to get kids plays. You got fans that pay a lot of money to come watch games, and you hate to shorten the game. And then the frustrating thing for coaches is we said we were doing it to shorten the game. Well, with all the TV timeouts, the game was the same amount of time but fewer plays. And it's not back to where it was, but that gives you an extra timeout. And with the rule change that you stop the clock after first downs, and it changes after the 2-minute timeout, it gives you more plays. So we had 28 plays on offense at halftime, and I think we ended up with 70. So we weren't scoring in the third quarter, but we were moving the ball, and we dominated the game completely with stats, but didn't score. So we've got to go back and just do a better job of finishing drives like we didn't do in the third quarter.
When you look at JMU from a national perspective at least, do you feel like maybe they've been a little bit forgotten about because Coach Signetti left because so many players transferred out after last season?
I don't know. They're like I said, 19-2 and 2-0, and they're playing great defense. I think they've given up 13 points, given up 13, 14 points for the year. Had the week off. They'll be fresh. They'll be excited. And like I said, this morning's the first time I've been able to look at them some, and a huge number of transfers. I mean, a Florida transfer, Colorado transfer. So it's a lot like the roster at Charlotte. And I think the group of 5 teams have so many people being poached off their teams now. They've just decided to get a lot of transfers, and that's why we'll have to really start studying them today and figure out who they are. But they're playing great defense, and they run the ball. They've got a really big, good offensive line. George is really a good player. They've got their other running back is a transfer from North Texas, and we looked at him. He's really a good player. They've got a really good wide receiver that can fly that came from South Florida. Tight end came from Charlotte. So it's really interesting when you start looking at the actual rosters now of where all these kids have come from. and it's just funny to try to figure out who they all are.
Obviously, you guys are playing a ton of players, but on defense specifically, linebacker and corner, especially against Central, two guys at each position played the majority of snaps. What's the challenge of that position, those two positions specifically, getting depth?
I think what you know it is. I usually don't ask questions unless I know the answers. Challenge is get the players out there and let them play, and we got to get rid of games so we can do that. We did it at Charlotte, and they went right down and scored. So we talked about this morning. Ty Adams is doing a really good job. He played a few more plays. He's doing a great job on special teams. So he and Tyran Stewart, I think he only played 8 or 9 plays, but they need to play more, and we're looking at that. And then at safety, they're all playing. We've got 4 guys playing, so that worked. And at linebacker, LaValle, what we've told those young guys, Tommy, is make your way on special teams. And if you're playing great on special teams, you're going to get more. And they're all playing. They're all playing on special teams, so they're getting more work than you would think. And Michael Short has really stepped up. He had a great game on Saturday. He did some really good things on special teams. And he and Ashton Woods are fighting for that 4th spot. And I'm so impressed with Amari Campbell. He's playing older than his age, man. He's really a good player. And he knocked them out once on our boundary. Had a 3rd down where he hit the little flat route, and guy stuttered and came back inside, and he just really hit him and had an aggressive look. So, but that's we're getting more offensive linemen to play. We're playing tight ends. We're playing receivers. We're playing running backs. We're playing everywhere except those 2 positions, and we're trying hard to get them in there. But I have watched very closely. You all and our fans would rather us win the game than not. And at the end, you usually don't ask about how many people played if you lose. So we're trying to win first, and then we've got depth in every position but 2. So we're making progress, but we're not there yet.
The best that Travis Shaw's played since he's been here?
Yeah, he's played great. He played maybe 22, maybe 25 plays. He made an unbelievable play on the goal line. So, yes, Ted Monachino has those guys all playing at such a high level. I'm so impressed. Des Evans would have probably been the player of the game if he hadn't had penalties. I mean, he played unbelievable. He was all over the place. Now we got to stay on sides, and that was one. When you're talking about rushing the passer, when the quarterback's throwing the ball and you hit him as he's throwing the ball in the chest without your helmet, I don't know what to tell him. I really don't. So that's one that we obviously sent in, and I know we've had one coach with a penalty already this week, so I'm not going to get into it. But I thought he made a great play, and so we'll have to look at that as we go through.
Boozy right now, huh?
Yeah, no.
Going on Trav, those 2 plays at the goal line, that first of the 2, it looked like he consumed like 3 blockers on that play and just blew the play up. Are you seeing him now, when he watches film, he's seeing the results of all the things you guys have been telling him for a couple of years starting to play out, and because of that, his confidence is just exploding?
Yes, and the fact that you're 370 and he was 328, I think, with his weight, to lose that much weight is unheard of, and especially for a young, big guy like that. And that was the start of it. And then he's got more energy. He's fresh. He gets hurt less. Josh Harris has really helped us. Josh is down to 330 now, and he was probably 360 when he got here. So they 350 something at least. But when you've got the Hesters and the Ritzies and the Josh Harrises that are older, and they're playing really, really well, and he watches that and he sees that, and he's got to fight to get on the field. It's really, really helped him, and I'm so proud of him. He has done a great job, and a lot of people have been critical of Ritzy and Des Evans and Hester and Trav for the 3-4 years that they've been here. They are stepping up and playing at a very, very high level.
Jacoby, the person, changed over, since his first stop here all the way to this week of his opportunity?
Jacoby is he's very smart. He's very nice. He's very quiet. He was more aggressive during the game in a leadership role, and as Drake told us a couple of years ago when I said, man, you and Jacoby just aren't leading. And Drake said, it's hard to lead unless you're the guy. And he said, when you get in there and you take over, then you can lead because they'll listen to you. But coach, they're not going to listen if you're not playing. And I saw little of that with Jacoby. He went from not playing 3 weeks ago till spring to being a guy that's out there in the third series with the ball on a short field trying to score. So his life has changed so much here in the last 2 weeks. And again, he didn't know he was going to play till last Tuesday. So he's in a much different position right now to prepare for this game than he was even for last week.
You mentioned wanting to potentially run back some more of those punts from the other day, or expecting to run back more. Did you feel that Elijah may have had like more space than he anticipated on some of those fair catches?
We did, and he looked at it and he sees it, and so I mean he's one of the best in the country. We need him to be a weapon, so that's why we've got to keep looking at it.
I can understand that what you all have worked through at quarterback through 3 games. When you played I think it was 3 quarterbacks in 9 quarters when Jacoby came in the other night. But as you mentioned, the wide receiver production just has not been there. Do you think that that is just a symptom of the uncertainty at quarterback that you've had? And I mean, are you challenging these guys to give you more because there have been some drops and you know hasn't been much happening with the wideouts?
Yeah. It's interesting that a lot of times what I say up here is not what people hear. So I have to be really careful when I answer questions. Because somebody will say, well, you said this at the press conference. I said, that's not at all what I said. That's what you heard. So I'll be really careful. We have been so lucky to have 2 NFL quarterbacks that didn't get hurt. And we have thrown the ball as good as anybody in the country. So if you're a wide receiver and you don't see the same production right now, it's a hard thing. It's frustrating. So they got to go back and make sure they're running the right route. They got to control what they can control. They've got to have better concentration and catch the ball. They got to have better body language and be excited because we're not the same passing team that we've been. We can be, and we're headed in that direction. And I saw some great things Saturday that are really exciting. And again, you can be that person that says their offense stinks, or you can be the person that said, man, there's some hope. I saw some good stuff. And if you're running, we always griped about the running game in the red zone. Well, we scored about 5 out of 6 times in the red zone. We rushed for 330. But now that we got that out of the way, let's gripe about something else because there's always something to fix. These are human beings. I wish sometime they were internet games. It'd be Madden. That'd be a lot more fun and be a lot less drama. But they're not. So your point is well taken, and we have talked to them, and we have challenged them. You go do your job, and the rest of it works out. And Tony Dungy made a great point last spring. He made a lot of great points, but one of them he said, how many people in here want to win a conference championship? Well, every hand. How many people in here want to win a national championship? Every hand. Me too. Everybody, 140 in the room had their hands up. He said, okay, where are the receivers? Oh, you're sitting back here. Okay, all of you? Yeah, stand up. How many of you would rather win no games and catch a lot of balls, or how many would rather catch no balls and win the national championship? And they went, oh, man. He said, yeah, it's called selfishness. So if you're a team guy, you got to be a team guy. If Omarion doesn't touch the ball Saturday and we decide to throw it every time, would he be as happy? Probably not. But if we win the game, it's all about winning. So we're going through a little growing up here.
About Omarion flipping through the air.
I know. I thought of Drake. I was going to have Drake call him and say, hey, don't be a fool, man. No, he didn't need to do that. He's a lot better when he stays on the ground and runs over them because he runs over a bunch of people. I can't imagine 181 yards after contact. I mean, that's just so good.
Going back to that phone call you had initially with him, I mean, did you think, okay, yeah, we'll let him come back, but he's probably not going to play? I mean, what was your thought process at that time? Did you feel like you needed a third quarterback? Or
Yes. Yes, we've got a young freshman but we thought we needed an older one just if somebody got hurt. And we also thought that if Max came in and was the guy and he left, then you still need Connor and an older one for spring. So we actually talked to Jacoby about, we're not sure where it's going to go this fall, but for sure in the spring you'll have a chance to compete for the job. And Jacoby is such a good person. His dad asked me, if it was your son, what would you do? And I said, he loves it here, he loves the kids here, he wants to get a degree from here. If it's about starting, I wouldn't come, because you got some things you got to overcome, because I don't think that you will be the starter this fall. And no spring practice, not here in the summer. These two guys have had all the reps, new offense, even from when you were here before, similar but some changes. You don't know Chip. So I said, if you look at the facts, to be fair to you, I would not tell you that it looks like you're going to come in here and start. So I didn't think he would come. And then he called 3 days later and he said, Coach, this is, I started here and I want to finish here. I love this place and I want a North Carolina degree and all my friends are here. And he says, so I just want to come back. So it's working for him now to have a chance to play. And if you think now, I don't know, we'd have to go back and look. I think maybe one game at Arkansas, we said 6 passes here. I mean, he has not played. And he has worked really hard for a long time to get a chance to play. So I'm excited that he's got a chance now.
Mack, you were talking with us last week just about the importance of the guys, putting their phones away, that kind of thing. Tell me about the importance of a barber shop and the player lounge, that space for that, phone-free zone.
Yeah, the thing that you want to do is make their life as much fun as it can be, because they've got a tremendous amount of pressure. They're a full-time student with a full-time job. And I mean, they'll be here at 6:30 in the morning, and then they'll practice really hard till from 8:15 to 10:15. Then they'll be in class at 11. So anytime we can have them have some fun stuff and give them some joy, and make it easier, like the hair. If they don't have to go downtown to get a haircut, it's a whole lot easier to go on, I think it's Tuesday and Wednesday, to go get their haircut right quick. They can get a haircut in 15 minutes instead of taking their whole time. And if we can help them save some time and make it special for them, it makes it a lot of fun for them. I don't. I probably should. I haven't asked, but it's funny, Chip. I thought about it, and then I don't want to take one of their spots. It probably would. They don't cut many gray people's hair in there, so.
We got time for one more.
Talking about
You can't pass up Art.
Sure.
I'm sorry to interrupt, Art. My bad.
You
Talk-
did. It's only your third. It's okay.
Go ahead, Art.
No, go ahead, come on.
We got to finish with Art.
Mac, talking about Omarion and the usage and the possible wear and tear. That was your thought process in camp, right? When you said we're not going to hit this guy. I mean, you guys did not tackle Omarion in training camp, did you?
We didn't tackle him in spring, and we didn't tackle him in preseason. And that's why when you open up with an opponent like Minnesota, you have to work so much on drills for his ball security because he hadn't been hit. And that's the first time he's hit. That's why quarterbacks fumble so much. They don't get hit. So we are really working hard with quarterbacks in ball security drills, more than we ever have, and we should have all the time. Everybody has to, because we've had fumbles at that position. But no, we don't hit him in team period. When it's best against best tomorrow, he will not be in there. So some of the wear and tear we're talking about, we take care of off the field for him, and then he does all the show team stuff when we're working against James Madison stuff. But he does not have a hand on him during practice like people would think. One of the problems is we thought Darwin Barlow would take a big load off of him, and he's had 5 plays in 3 weeks, and that's really hurt us and hurt him. So, and then with Caleb Hood, you don't want to put him in there at the end of a game just for nothing, because he's played a whole lot, so you want the 2 young backs to get the extra work. So we've got to get somebody to help him with that workload, because we're just lucky that we've been able to take him out in fourth quarters in 2 of these first 3 games. Art?
Matt, when you were here the first time, you talked so much about you have to run the ball to be successful. And you come back and you got 2 NFL guys, and you say you threw the ball too much. What is the real secret to getting the balance? I think you really want balance.
Yeah. If you heard me say that we threw it too much, I didn't say that, or I didn't mean it. I didn't say we were trying to win the Heisman Trophy. Well, I don't think so, but that's, yeah. Again, doesn't matter. If I said we were trying to win the Heisman Trophy, I'd like for every player on our team to win the Heisman Trophy, yes. Yeah. The balance is to figure out what you do to win a game. Most people that just throw the ball, if you look at the playoff, none of the pros just throw the ball. In fact, usually there's a number of runs you have to have in the pros on Sunday in the game to have won the game, because they can't block them up front if you're just throwing the ball. When you look at the playoffs, there's really no team in the playoffs that's just throwing the ball, because they can't. You can't. The defensive players are usually better. The rushers are better than the blockers. So you've got to run the ball well enough to protect. And that's one of the reasons we've had so many sacks here, is because we threw the ball so much that we put our offensive linemen in a tough spot. So what we felt is, you go back to Michigan last year, won the national championship. They were a very physical, run-first football team that had good play action and played great defense and special teams. That's what we're trying to do. Georgia, very physical, running football team that uses play action, plays great defense, and has great special teams. It's a model for everybody that wants to win national championships. If you look at it, those are the teams that are getting there. Texas, same thing. Bijan Robinson, maybe the best running back in the country. So you start looking at what you've got. You play towards your strengths. We've had great receivers, we've had great running backs, and we've had great quarterbacks. We've struggled some in the offensive line. We've really struggled on defense, and part of it, in my estimation, is we haven't helped them a lot because we haven't played complementary football. We're playing more complementary football right now by rushing for 330 yards, and our defense is playing a lot less plays, and they're fresh. Now, Saturday we got hurt by field position because on the kickoff return, we should have been at the 45, and we're back at the 10 because of a holding call. You can't do that and win games. And right now, Art, I believe there's probably about 6 or 8 teams that are better than everybody else. The rest of us are all about alike. And the ones that do the best coaching are the ones that have a chance to win. And that's kind of like it is in the NFL. I looked up yesterday, and I see about 4 teams that are going to overtime. 4 games, 8 teams. They're all just alike. So who makes the play, who fumbles the ball, who misses a field goal? And that's what this game's gotten down to. You have got to do a great job of coaching to win, because most of us are alike. And the ones that have the most NIL money have separated. And the rest of us are all about alike. And that's everybody. When you see Georgia State beat Vanderbilt, you see Toledo beat Mississippi State 41-19. You look up, I put all those scores up every Sunday for our team to look at. And when I put them up there, I said, guys, you think easy game, tough game? What did Mississippi State think about Toledo? Well, Vanderbilt beats Virginia Tech. Well, they can handle Georgia State easy. Why are they on the schedule, man? We shouldn't be playing them. That's what this thing's gotten to now. And it sounds like coach speak. It sounds like paranoia. It's facts. It's just facts. So we have to do a great job trying to figure out how we can win each game. And you've got to do a great job coaching now. I've told our guys, coaching is no longer just recruiting, but because recruiting's changed. So now, if yours are like theirs, you better coach yours better than theirs to have a chance to win. And that's just what it's gotten down to. And coaches don't like to hear that because it puts more pressure on us. It's facts. It's just facts. The ones that do the best job coaching, you got to have a little luck. You got to be healthy. But the ones that do the best job coaching And what we've got to do, we had to do a better job, Art, of trying to help our defense. Because we haven't played good defense around here forever. It has been forever. We've thrown the ball really well. We've scored a lot of points, but we haven't played great defense. To win games, you got to play great defense. So we got to help our defense. We got to help our offensive line. And so far, we're doing that. And now we got to get our quarterbacks and our receivers on the same page and improve our passing game. That's the thing that's missing. To me, it's a whole lot easier to do that than it is whip up a running game. You can't get a running, you can't not run the ball for 3 weeks and then come in here one day and say, you know what, let's start running it better. You can't. And we have worked on this since January because we knew that our strength was going to be Omarion. We knew we were inexperienced in the offensive line, so running the ball was our best chance. And now, to beat the teams we've got to beat, we've got to be able to throw the ball off of the running game. And that's where we're not where we need to be yet. And I saw some real hope Saturday. I mean, we had 17 explosive plays, they had 3. So when you look at those things, it's there. We got to put it all together, and we got to be more consistent. And I think that's the biggest part of this. And if you look at it, running the ball and stopping the run is the basic fundamentals of winning football games. And then you get to turnovers. And then you get to penalties, and then you get to sacks and tackles for loss, because penalties, turnovers, tackles and sacks for loss are drive killers. Usually if you have a sack, you're not going to have a drive. You're going to have to punt. Usually if you have a long penalty, you're not going to be able to overcome it. So more than ever before, we have to do every little thing right. And that's why the 17 penalties is unacceptable. Period. Put us in a game that could have been a blowout and made it a lot closer till the fourth quarter. Okay, anything else before I go? All right, I'll see you Saturday.